Devastating Maria moving onshore in Puerto Rico. I'm Mike Naso with a morning update on the hurricane. It's been a long night tracking this thing, and for Puerto Rico, this is as bad as it gets. Okay, this is going to be the worst hurricane in living memory in Puerto Rico. The last time one this bad hit was 89 years ago in 1928, when they were hit with a 160 mile per hour Category 5. Maria is 155, just under the Cat 5 threshold. It's been fluctuating, but trust me, there's very little difference between 160 and 155, and the eye expanded in size overnight from the little eye it had dissipating into a much larger eye moving ashore now in Puerto Rico. Now, here's the track as of 5 a.m., which you could see takes it very close to the Turks and Caicos Islands Friday night. Of course, it's got hurricane warnings out there for them, as well as southeastern Bahamas and the north coast of the Dominican Republic. To say nothing of the U.S. Virgin Islands, we've had wind gusts upwards of 80 miles an hour in St. Thomas, and a lot of these weather reporting stations have quit reporting information to us, which shows how powerful this storm is. I did want to give an update as of 6 a.m. from the National Hurricane Center. We have a brand new update on Hurricane Maria. You can see Hurricane Maria is about to make landfall in Puerto Rico. They had a sustained wind of 76 and a gust to 99 at Del Rey Marina, and a sustained wind of 72 with a gust to 98 in Fajardo, Puerto Rico. I apologize if my pronunciation of that is off. It was at 18.0 north, 65.8 west. That is 20 miles west-southwest of Vieques, or 35 miles southeast of San Juan, which of course is a very large populated area, and this is just terrible news for Puerto Rico. The entire island of Puerto Rico is going to be devastated by this. 155, still sailing northwest at 10, not very fast, 10 miles an hour, and 917 millibars. We had seen it get down to 909, which made it the 10th strongest hurricane in the Atlantic that we have on record. Of course, records are less reliable after, say, 50 or 60 years ago, but nonetheless, 917 millibars. It's gone up, what? I mean, 8 millibars? So come on, this is as bad as it gets for Puerto Rico. There's the satellite imagery of the hurricane. You can see not as strong convection around it, but the water vapor has that shape to it, pointing in the direction that the upper level winds want to take it, which is off towards the northwest at 10. It's going to go right across Puerto Rico, and I'm telling you, anybody from Puerto Rico will tell you, Hurricane George in 98, it went right across the island as an organizing Category 3. This Hurricane Maria is so beyond George for Puerto Rico. I mean, it's just ridiculous. It's going to be terrible. There you can see so many communities that are just getting hammered there. Of course, Vieques got the eye wall, and now they're in part of the eye. They just moved back into the stronger convection again. Just the onshore flow, storm surges 10 to 15 feet, and all of these communities, I mean all of these communities right now are just going through agony with this Hurricane Maria. Look at these radar echoes coming in, even on the long-range Puerto Rican radar out of San Juan. Look at that donut, that brand new eye wall it developed right as it's coming ashore. That might have weakened it from 175 to 155, but I'll tell you what, when it was small, that eye had gotten down to 5 to 10 miles wide, and the strongest winds were within that smaller eye. The fact that the winds expanded, the wind field now extends hurricane winds 50 miles, that is just awful for Puerto Rico, because now Puerto Rico, almost all of it, will receive devastating winds of hurricane force with gusts in the higher elevations well beyond Category 5 where that eye wall crosses. The scary thing about this, and I don't mean to sound so alarmist for the residents of Puerto Rico, but I can't even see any green anymore on this radar image. There are so many oranges and yellows. That's how intense the rainfall and wind is with this storm moving ashore. You can see the latest radar image. The center of the eye is almost on the coast. It'll probably make landfall within minutes. and we're going to see that from the National Hurricane Center shortly. You can see the computer models continue to move the hurricane very near Turks and Caicos over the next 48 hours, and then they take it north, and they were more to the east earlier. They've shifted a little bit west. Some of them get it pretty darn close to the mid-Atlantic, and while landfall still doesn't seem likely, don't take your guard down at all if you live on the East Coast, because this hurricane is far too severe a storm to take lightly. Adding to the shock value of Hurricane Maria, this is a couple of hours old, but it's from the National Weather Service Forecast Office in San Juan, Puerto Rico, and it's a forecast of the maximum wind gusts over the next 12 hours all over Puerto Rico. These are numbers that I really never see on any kind of official National Weather Service forecast. Gusts, 184 in the middle of Puerto Rico, 161 near Ponce. If these gusts verify with 155 mile per hour landfalling hurricane, that's devastating. That is so tremendously devastating. And so I want everybody in Puerto Rico or has family in Puerto Rico to make sure that their loved ones are hunkered down and prepared for these intense winds, especially in higher elevations, because it's going to be very, very troubling as the hurricane takes that northwest track at 10 miles an hour. There's the infrared satellite, and you can see the convection obviously not as strong as it was last night when it was 175, but 155, that's like borderline. So this is coming ashore as a Cat 4/Cat 5 hurricane with the storm surge up to 15 feet and the wind gusts well into the 160 plus mile an hour range. And the onshore flow in these Virgin Islands is also going to be tremendous. St. Croix, you guys got spared a direct landfall, but you were in the northern eye wall, and I'm sure, as I've heard already trickling in, there will be damage, no doubt, with Maria. So that'll do it for this 6 a.m. update on extremely dangerous Hurricane Maria. There's only so much you can say. Of course, if you're in Puerto Rico, power lines are going to be down. There's going to be flooding and storm surge occurring in that right front quadrant where you have the onshore winds. A devastating Hurricane Maria making landfall in Puerto Rico this morning. The strongest hurricane to hit Puerto Rico in 89 years. I'm Mike Naso, and I'll see you next time as we continue to follow powerful Hurricane Maria.